Hi folks, welcome back to my channel. So this is the second part of the last video that I made regarding the illusion regarding Jesus Christ that can trap you. So if you're a flat earther and you're looking into the scriptures, my hope is that what I'm going to show you will help you so that you will think carefully and walk carefully. So we're all on a journey in this life, and there are people who will make out they're your friends, but they're your enemy. So you need to think carefully, and I encourage you to pray carefully about the steps that you take. So the discussion that I had, and we're going to continue, I'm going to show you more evidence, is that when Jesus' disciples came to him and said, "What will be the sign of your coming and the end of the age?" Jesus linked a whole lot of visuals to the destruction of the temple. Now the temple has been destroyed, and so we know that Jesus did return within the generation of that time. So for example, at Luke 11, Jesus says to those people that the blood of the prophets which was shed from the founding of the world, it shall be required of this generation. Which is what happened. Not my generation or our children's generation, but the generation that he was speaking to. When Jesus was on trial before the Sanhedrin, and it's recorded at Matthew 26:64, after they had slapped him, Jesus said, "From now on you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power and coming in the clouds of heaven." They understood that this included the destruction of the temple, because if you read that account, they were talking about the destruction of the temple, and the Sanhedrin was upset because they were the top dogs, and he was telling them that they were all going to lose their power and authority. They were going to be destroyed. It was bad news for them. And so Caiaphas lost his temper because he knew that it was coming in his lifetime. So Jesus gave us a warning, and we need to understand this warning. He said, look, if people come to you on the basis of his name saying, look, there he is in the wilderness, if he's there in the inner rooms, he said, don't believe these people or go with them. And he said that they will produce signs and wonders, illusions, to mislead you. He said, if possible, even the chosen ones. And then he gave a sign. He said, for just as the lightning flashes from the east to the west, so it will be with the Son of Man on his return. So let's think about it. The answer to this illustration about the lightning is found in other scriptures. So what do we know about lightning? Well, it comes with the clouds. It comes suddenly. That's what Jesus said. If we look at Revelation 1 verse 7, the angel said, behold, he is coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him, even those who pierced him, and all the tribes on earth will mourn because of him. Who are these people who would mourn? Well, it would be the people on his return, because every eye will see him, even those who pierced him, would mean the Roman soldiers, not me or you. Now some people will try and deceive you and say this means everybody. So what was it? Is it everyone who has ever lived, or everyone alive at that time? Well, it's common sense. The nations would beat themselves because they would see the power that was coming. Now, if we read Luke 21, it helps us to understand the symbolism of the lightning. Jesus says there will be signs in the sun and moon and stars, and here on earth the nations will be in turmoil, perplexed by the roaring of the seas and the strange tides. People will be terrified at what they see coming on the earth, for the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Because Jesus, like the lightning, would come suddenly, everyone would see those signs, they would become afraid because they knew, here comes trouble. We are in big trouble. Right? So when it says, and every eye will see him, it's obvious that it's people who are living at that time not people living in our generation or in our time. So Jesus returned. He destroyed Satan's kingdom. That troubled time has come and gone. So God's enemies are creating illusions saying that Jesus must still come, and I'm going to show you why. And when you see why, it will make sense. Remember in our first video we spoke about George Orwell's 1984, right? And how Winston gets bamboozled. They want you to believe that you're weak and helpless, and it's simply not true. It's just a little common sense. So look at the scriptures. At 1 Corinthians 10:11, Paul says that these things were written down for our instruction, on whom the end of the age has come. Now, if the end of the age had not come in Paul's lifetime, what was his point? These things were written for the people on whom the end of the age has come. Which people of those? The people living in Paul's time, in his lifetime. Matthew 24:14, which was written by Matthew, the Bible writer. How did he understand it? And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all the nations, and then the end will come. Were they warning people of a destruction that was coming in 2,000 years from then? No. It was a testimony to those people who were alive at that time. It's obvious. 1 John 2:18. Children, it is the last hour. As you have heard, the Antichrist is coming. So many Antichrists have come, therefore we know it is the last hour. How can it 2,000 years later we're still in the last hour? And these religious leaders will tell you that the Antichrist is still coming. No. He came and he was destroyed. Right. So Jesus said to those people at that time, you did not recognize the time when God was visiting you. Jesus' disciples went and preached about God's kingdom, and they preached salvation that was because there was a destruction that was coming in their lifetime. Read Jesus' illustrations at Matthew. He said that the conclusion of the system would be like a dragnet that will haul in good fish and bad fish. The good fish are put aside and the bad fish are thrown back and destroyed. And he said, so it will be at the end of the age. Which age? The age that they were living in. So Jesus did return in the lifetime of those people. He destroyed Satan's empire, and the evidence is with us. So there's something else we must understand is why. Why is it so important to understand this? So Jesus says to his disciples at that time, if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. Who is he speaking to? His disciples that were alive at that time. If a man says to his family, look, I'm going away, I'm going to buy a house, I'm going to come back and fetch you so that we can be together as a family. What's the point if he comes back and they're all dead? It makes no sense. Jesus was speaking to his disciples that were alive at that time. So why is it so important? Because there was going to be a change in the power structure. A change in the power structure who was ruling over the earth would come. So if we read at Luke 4:6, the devil clearly says that he is the ruler of the world. There are other scriptures that refer to the devil being ruler of the world. But there was a change in power structure after Jesus was executed and his resurrection. He says to the disciples at Matthew 28:18, God has given me authority over everyone and everything. All authority in heaven and on this world belong to him. Jesus said, I have all authority in heaven and in this world. So if that's the case, how much authority did Satan have? Zilch, nada, nothing. How much authority does Satan have over you and me? Zilch, nada, nothing. Who has all authority over you and me? Jesus Christ does. They don't want you to understand that important fact. Right? That is what they're hiding from you. So why? Well, if you know that Jesus Christ is King of Kings, you go to him. Because he's destroyed Satan's system. Satan has no authority and control over you unless you give it to him. So these clowns will tell you, well, why are we waiting for Jesus to return? They will help you. You must just join their church and their religions and wada. And it's a lie. You don't need to. That is what they're hiding. You go directly to Jesus Christ. He cares about you. He will help you. If you're in trouble, you go directly to him. You don't need to go to these religions because they're not going to help you. And I'm going to prove it to you from other scriptures. So I know this is going to make a lot of enemies for me, but nevertheless, what I'm telling you is the truth. So there were 3 ages. We are living in the 3rd age. Right? The first age was 8 generations from Adam and Eve to the flood. Then there were 65 generations from the flood to the birth of Jesus Christ, his execution, his resurrection, his return to heaven. He returned back to earth and collected his disciples. He destroyed Satan's kingdom and empire, and Satan was thrown into the abyss. Now 1,000 years have gone by. Satan has been let loose, right? Apollo. And we are living in that little season, a short period of time, when Satan has been let loose, and the final destruction of Satan and God's enemies. That's the period we are living in. So if we look at Revelation, the angel says to John, I'm going to show you things that must soon take place. It was the destruction of that system at that time, Satan's empire, and God's anger against that empire and all the people that were following Satan at that time. There was a judgment period. Immediately after that, there was the first resurrection. Those people ascended to heaven and ruled with Jesus for 1,000 years. Then Satan would be let loose. A little while, he would be destroyed. Then there would be the second resurrection, and then death is conquered. That hasn't happened yet. People still die. So the second resurrection and the final judgment hasn't happened yet. Because we see all the trouble in the world, it's obvious it hasn't happened yet. So what has Jesus been doing in the past 1,000 years? Well, he says at Matthew 25, all the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep and the goats. When? If you read that account, when he sits on his throne as king. So why are the sheep and the goats, why are people separated like a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats? It's for a judgment day. Right. At Revelation 3, Jesus says, the one who conquers will be clothed thus in white garments, meaning you'll be viewed as innocent. And I will never blot his name out of the book of life. I will confess his name before my Father and before all his angels. So books are opened in Revelation, and people are judged according to what they did that are written in these books. And then a book of life is opened. That book of life belongs to Jesus Christ. He is like your attorney. He is your lawyer. He will speak for you on Judgment Day because you have appointed him as your lawyer. If you haven't appointed him as your lawyer, well, then you're going to be judged on those books that are opened. And, well, good luck with that. It's your life, it's your business. It says there, Jesus says there, that we must still conquer. Say in what sense? It's going to be difficult. And what is it that conquers? It's our faith. Because we are living in a period of illusions. Lies and illusions. And one of those lies is that we are waiting for Jesus' return. There are many lies. I can mention a few, but I don't want to go down that road. Obvious lies. So that's the point. Jesus Christ is King of Kings, and you go to him directly. If they open other doors, you don't go into those doors. You don't need them. You don't need to walk into those rooms. That's what Jesus was saying. Don't go with them. Look, I've warned you. Right, so let's reason a bit. So we don't have to have the dates exactly right, but there is another way of thinking about this. So a lifespan is 70, 70 years at Psalm 90. A generation is 40 years according to Psalm 95 verse 10. So there have been 8 generations between Adam and the flood of Noah's day. So they will say, well, it's 1,000 years. So how could you only have 8 generations between 1,000 years? Well, they'll say, no, they lived for 1,000 years. But how does that apply to a generation of 40 years and a lifespan? Because that lifespan, 70 applies to everybody, including Noah and Adam and Eve and everybody. Right? So sometimes in the Bible, months were used for years. Now, if you use the months for years, like it is in the Bible, it will make sense. So do you think Noah was 500 years old? Him and his wife used contraception for 500 years, and then after 500 years decided, oh, let's have kids. No. Seth was born, if you count the months, 130 months. That means Adam was 10 years from his being created. He was 10 years old. Right, remember, so he wasn't a child, he was a grown man. 10 years after his being created, Seth was born. Adam died 930 months. That makes him 77 years old. The flood came when Noah was 600 months. That means he was 50 years old. Noah died 950 months. That made him 79 years old. When Noah had his 3 sons, he was 41 years old. Methuselah, the oldest man in the Bible, right? 969 months. That made him 80 years old. And that's exactly what it says in Psalms. 70 years, and in case of special mightiness, 80 years. Right. So I don't have all the answers, I don't have all the facts, but what I'm showing you will help you to put things in perspective. That we've been lied to and been misled in a lot of ways. But if we look at the generations, 9 generations from Adam to the flood, roughly 360 years. 66 generations from Noah to Jesus, 2,640 years. But we know from Daniel and from Revelation, the 7 times is 2,520 years. So compare that to the 66 generations, they're pretty much the same. So I don't have exact answers and I don't have exact dates, but all I'm doing is I'm illustrating to you that if you look at the bigger picture, things do add up. So we are living in a period when Satan is being let loose. So they'll say the answer to 1984 is 1776. No, it's the cause. Right? What they're offering you is slavery, not freedom. Right? And do these people know? Do they know what they're doing? Yes. The person who came up with this, the answer to 1984, 1776, they're Satanists. It's not for nothing that they speak like this. Do you think the people in Hollywood that they don't understand? And of course they know. They understand fully. They know. They know the destruction came when Jesus came. He destroyed everything. Satan's empire. And now Satan, how does he feel since he came out the abyss? Right, so the Statue of Liberty, Apollo, that's Satan. Right. How does he feel?
Oh my God. I'm back. I'm home. All the time. We finally really did it. You maniacs! You blew it up! Oh, damn you! God.
Right. He had his rulership, it was taken away from him. And it was given to Jesus Christ. He wants it back. Well, he's not going to get it back. Right? So there is a carefully hidden, ruthless conspiracy to install a new world order. The United Nations is just part of the show. So they want to have the Great Reset, that's what they call it. It's transferring rulership and authority from Jesus Christ back to Satan the devil. But Jesus is ruling from heaven, so how do these clowns hope to accomplish this? They can't accomplish it. Right? So the Dark Ages was the 1,000 years that Satan was in the abyss. And so Hollywood, the music industry, so look, I enjoy music, I jam, I play songs, I'm an artist. But I understand what they're singing about.
In 1,000 years of peace, what have you accomplished? A land of people who dream of nothing more. It's my turn now.
You just need to pay attention. Look, the swan song means the last gig, your last song. So as the devil comes out the abyss, the phoenix, it's his last gig. There's a lady whom we all know, right, who's building a stairway to heaven. They're building it step by step. And with a word, she can get what she came for, meaning by using the Bible and misleading people with the Bible, they can accomplish their goals. Because they use religion to accomplish their goals. In Led Zeppelin's cover, Presence, it's talking about Satan's presence. The black obelisk. Jimmy Page, speaking about that record cover, he said, I'm more interested who the black obelisk represents. So do they know? Of course they know. You're not going to write words to a song and you don't know what they mean, for goodness sake. They know what it means. So, from the flood, we repopulated those buildings. After Jesus' return, the destruction of Satan's empire, we've repopulated those buildings. They were devastated. That's the period we're living in, right? So do you think these people don't know? Of course they know. So Satan is busy building his stairway to heaven. Had a couple of slips and mishaps on the way, right? But he's determined, and these people that are with him are determined to accomplish this. But they get destroyed. They will not succeed. It'll be the last time Satan, same person, comes down the chimney. That's why he comes down the chimney. You need to wake up and just put two and two together. It's his destruction. He knows that. He's coming with his joy to the world. Meantime, it's just trouble and misery and suffering. It's not joy. It's pain and suffering for humanity. It's all he's ever caused and all he's ever done. So good riddance to him. So there's a conspiracy, right? And you need to look and think. So I grew up with this music, right? I used to jam it on the guitar, right? Just chords, riffs. So Black Sabbath, right? The master of reality. What reality? It's Satan's reality. And they're telling you, look at the cover of Sabotage. Look at the reflections, they're back to front. So they know the earth is flat. Because if you're on a ball, right, what is behind you would be reflected in front of you. But when you stand by a lake, what is in front of you is reflected where? In front of you. What is behind you is behind you. So do they know the earth is flat? Yes. Do they know who's the master of that, who's building that fake world, the Satan? Yes. You need to wake up. Right. So do they know? Yes, of course they know. Right. So you're a flat earther, right? You recognize that there's a creator, and now you're starting to look in the Bible. Well, good for you. You understand that there are people who are creating the illusions, therefore the creator must have enemies. Right. So if you make a stand for the Creator, you're going to have your enemies. It just goes without saying. Right? And then in between, you're going to have a lot of jackasses who want to feel better about themselves. You can't make them feel better. He's a jackass. They don't understand the difference between that horse in their midst and the other jackasses around them. They're going to gnash their teeth at you while standing knee-high in donkey shit and not understand the situation they're in. Now, you can't save them from this. Jesus Christ can save them. You and I can't save these jackasses. Right? It's not our job. Right, so there's a carefully hidden conspiracy. So we're going to listen to a conspiracy theorist, right? And we're going to listen to what he says.
And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today...
Right, so he's talking about secret societies. He's not talking about the communist government. No, he's talking about enemies within society itself.
After a deluded gunman assassinated President Kennedy...
Right, so what's so funny? Is it a joke when you murder people? So does he know? Yes, he knows. Right. Now a lot of jackasses just don't want to accept the inevitable. Right. So use your eyes. You're not weak and helpless. You got eyes. If you got one eye, then flip and use that one eye. But think. So we're going to look at the Zapruder film. I'm going to show you something, and the jackasses are going to get upset with me. But nevertheless, I'm going to show you what I see. You don't have to agree with me, just my opinion. But I see what I see, and I understand what I understand. And it's shocking, but it's the reality, and we need to stand up and accept the reality in life. So with JFK, right? At this point he's been hurt. Now the lady in pink, she has something in her right hand. She pushes his arm down. They're not concerned he's choking or something's wrong. She leans forward, says something to him. Right? She leans forward. She shoots him. The shot comes from below him, comes out the top of his head. Whatever she used to shoot him with, she throws it at the back. The secret agent fellow, he goes and collects it, but he misses. She leans forward to try and help him. Right. But he tells her to get back. He's retrieved it. So look carefully. The bullet comes from where? From JFK's left-hand side. Up there you can see her throwing it. You see it bouncing on the car. And you see it rolling. The man at the back collects it. Right. So what's the cause of all this?
And the conspiracy theorists can say what they will.
Satan's been let loose from the abyss. And unfortunately it's difficult and it's tough to deal with. But we can't run away from our problems. We have to face the reality. And remember, Jesus Christ is King of Kings. We can turn to Him for comfort and for strength to endure this nonsense that we have to put up with by these evil men and their cronies, right? If people come and laugh at you because you're a flat earther, because they're Satan's puppets. Right? These people are going to laugh at you because you're a flat earther. Well, if they're jackasses, it's not your problem. Right? They're grinding their teeth at you because they're stupid and they're standing knee deep in donkey shit and they can't see the horse next to them. It's not your problem. It's not my problem. You just got to leave them be because they're stupid fools. Right? So they want to have a great reset and they won't be successful. They think they're going to be successful. We just have to endure this until the final end. It's tough and it's hard and it's annoying.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle.
So the law of the jungle, he's talking about the natural law. He's blaspheming God. Right? He's talking about moral principles. Right? The natural law. They want to put their own law in. You need to understand, he's blaspheming God.
Governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be.
How long is this political speech is going to take? They've been failing and failing and failing because if they were successful, we would have had it by now. We haven't had it by now because they're failing.
We have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations...
Remember, what happens is that Jesus rules in heaven. The people that he took with him, his disciples, are kings that rule with him. And Satan has been made a spectacle of. That's what it says in the scriptures. You've got to read your Bible.
Can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Where is this new world order? Right? And when they finally maybe get closer, they get destroyed anyway. So what's the point? Got their peacekeeping roles, for goodness sake. So make no mistake, don't be fooled. It's the looting and the pillaging and the plundering of humanity by Satan and his seed and the demons and the people with him. So let's go back to Revelation. Look, Revelation says there, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison and shall go out to deceive the people. Right? That's why we have all the lies around us, which are in the four quarters, because the earth is flat, of the earth, even Gog and Magog. So I'm not sure about Gog and Magog. It might refer to the demons. To gather them together for battle, whose number is the sands of the sea. And they went up into the plain of the earth, the flat earth, and they compassed the tents of the saints. That means, who rules over the earth? It's Jesus Christ and his chosen ones. You're ruling with him. So they can't get into heaven, but they can encompass the earth. And Satan has his dumbass followers. That's their problem. And the Bible just says, and fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them. We're still waiting for that to happen. Right, so read Psalms. Their destruction is guaranteed. We just have to endure this nonsense, their lies, as they make up stories about black holes in space and their telescopes that can see to the end of the universe. I mean, some of the stuff is just so stupid. You have to be a real donkey to believe it. And I don't feel sorry for them. I used to, until I realized that the reflection of their mind is what's already in their heart. They like the lies. They like the deceit. So here's the warning. If you're a flat earther, don't get onto those ships. They've already been taken over. They're controlled. They've been overrun with cockroaches. Don't get onto those ships. The illusion that can trap you is that Jesus has returned. He's in heaven ruling as King of Kings. And you have direct access to that. So they say salvation by Jesus has nothing to do with the shape of the earth. Listen, you can't be set free by Jesus Christ and be held captive by Satan and his lies. You can't be following Jesus and the devil. You can't walk down two different roads. You can only walk one path. There's one road. There aren't two roads, like Led Zeppelin says. No, there's only one road. So that's the point. Let's talk about when Jesus said, where the carcass is, that's where the vultures will be. So we've understood that the lightning referred to Jesus' return. It's already happened. So how do we benefit from the point about the vultures? Well, Jesus made it clear. Truly, I tell you, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you do not have life in yourself. So what's the point? You have to go directly to Jesus Christ. You don't go through a religion, another man. You don't follow another man. It's a personal thing. You are fed directly by Jesus Christ. And it's not based on how good or righteous you are. It's based on his mercy towards you. You need to understand that. So you have people who will say Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Then don't go to him, but we'll get on the ship and be taken slaves. Don't get on the ship. So it's simple. There's one mediator between God and men, that is Jesus Christ. He is your lawyer. And on Judgment Day, he will speak for you. But in the meantime, because he's King of Kings, you can ask him anything, and he'll help you. If you need to understand, ask him to explain and understand to you. You will get the help that you need. Right. I can only tell you from my own experience what I know, because I've been asking Jesus Christ for many years to help me to understand what is going on, to give me the strength to endure and the courage to endure, because it's difficult, and the courage to speak out, because if I don't speak out, then I'll become compliant and complacent, and I hate these people. I despise them, these liars. So look, I hope this clip, it's a personal one from my heart, and I pray for you, and I hope that you will conquer and inherit the blessings that are there for all of those who conquer. Cheers, and thanks for watching.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed.